Rom&nd eyeshadow palette is the most ethereal and one-of-a-kind eyeshadow palette I have ever owned. You know, I love glitters. Not only glitters, but shimmers and metallics of all kinds and forms, from ultra fine shimmers to blingy over-the-top chunky glitters. I appreciate reflective shimmers of all kind. If you are like me and you love that extra touch of diva-like glow glitters and shimmers add to your makeup, then bestie, you should check out the Rom&nd palette in 00 Light and Glitter Garden. So yeah, let's talk about the hype around this palette. It retails for 2050 rupees. I am a girly girl and I really appreciated the baby pink coquette style outer box. Just to let you know, I got this palette 2 months back and I kept the outer box. That's how much I like it. After unboxing, you get this sleek 10-pan glitter and shimmer eyeshadow palette with a clear glass packaging in the front and a clear matte packaging in the back. So in the back side, you see all the names of all the 10 shades. What are those 10 shades? Let's talk about that. With Light and Glitter Garden palette, you get 3 types of shimmers. Number 1, fine shimmers. Number 2, medium-sized shimmers. Number 3 is chunky shimmers. Let's talk about fine shimmers first. Compared to medium-sized ones and the chunky glitters, this is not only muted but also has a 2D metallic finish. Not to say that these don't perform as good as the other 2 shimmers. It's just, for me, the reflection is more luxurious, muted, high fashion, and can I say, one of those red carpet, finely milled shimmers. In this palette, you get 3 ultra fine shimmers. The way this palette is designed, I think it's very smart. So you get a warm, cool and neutral toned shimmer. Goldish Tear is a very warm toned shimmer. Twinkle Pink has a cool undertone and Champagne Flow has a warm to neutral undertone. So personally, I think it's such a cool idea because everybody, whether you have warm, cool or neutral undertone, we all get to have options. Okay, coming back to the finish, ultra fine shimmers like these 3 shadows, they look very delicate and elegant. She's definitely a head turner, but more like a silent killer, I would say. I find fine shimmers to be more graceful, and the best thing is there's no age factor associated with these type of finishes. Anybody of any age can pull this off. Fine shimmers are best applied with your fingers. I don't trust brushes with these because of the texture. Applying shimmers with brush will always be a struggle for me. Ultra fine shimmers are way too smooth. So if you want to see an even burst of pigment on your eyes, fingers are the best applicators. I applied all the 3 shimmers on my eyes, Champagne Flow on the inner corners, Goldish Tear on the center, and Twinkle Pink on the outer third. This is how the shimmers look. Number 2 is medium-sized shimmers. To me, these look ethereal and exquisite. When you swatch, you can see clusters of medium-sized glitters along with your regular shimmers. You get around 5 medium-sized shimmers, so that is half of the palette, right? Half of the palette has medium-sized shimmers. Dewdrop, Glory Ivory, Shining Rose, Rainbow Bubble and Sparkling Red. To show you what medium-sized shimmers look on my eyes, I applied 2 of my favorite medium-sized shimmers, Dewdrop and Rainbow Bubble, on my eyelids. So Dewdrop on the inner half and Rainbow Bubble on the outer half, and this is how medium-sized shimmers look. The reflection is out of this world. It looks like cosmos on my eyes. Number 3 is chunky shimmers. With this one, you get shimmers, medium-sized glitters as well as chunky octagonal shaped glitters. Since it has bigger glitter, it appears more scattered on the skin. There are only 2 chunky shimmers in this palette, Fairy Glitter and Purple Fantasy. Chunky shimmers are your over-the-top, diva-like shimmers that cannot go unnoticed. It's eye-catchy, dramatic and very, very glamorous. Glamorous, but more like, internet influencer kind of, glamorous. In comparison, this is how these 3 finishes look side by side. Both chunky and medium-sized glitters have a gel consistency, so the finish finish is not only glittery but also dewy. Dewiness from the transparent gel base of these glitters, and looking at the finish, these might remind you of the 𝘤𝘰𝘮𝘮 Get Loose glitter gel pot, as well as the glitters from Tap Me palette duo. It has the same consistency, the same formula, and the wear time is also the same, except with Rom&nd palette you get a huge variety of not only different shades but also different sizes of the glitters. I want to swatch every single shade and let you know what these look on my skin. Let's start with the first shade, Dewdrop. On the pan, Dewdrop seems like a one color glitter. It looks frosty white with maybe a few reflective shimmers. So remember my Pongal Get Ready With Me video, I used this color as an eyeshadow topper, and I said that this shade had more gold than some of the gold shades in the palette, and I was absolutely right. When you swatch it, the frosty white turns into different bursts of colors, mainly gold, lilac, blue and green. Dewdrop is a medium-sized shimmer, so the glitters look very clustered. In front of a light source, this is how reflective, blingy and extra this glitter shows up on my skin. On the other hand, in a more dim light, indoor lighting setup, the frosty white kind of disappears and all you can see is prominent gold glitters. Number 2 is Champagne Flow. I told you that there are 3 ultra fine shimmers. Champagne Flow is one of them. In some lighting it looks warm toned, in some other lighting it looks more neutral. The finish is very metallic. I would say more like a 2D finish compared to these medium sized and chunky shimmers. And to me, Champagne Flow is an everyday, daytime appropriate shimmer shadow. I forgot to mention that the fine shimmers you get in the Rom&nd palette, it's not the same as your regular shimmer shadow. These shift to different colors as well. So champagne color shifts to pink and gold. I think this is why it looks more neutral, because it has both pink and gold, and depending on the lighting, sometimes you get more pink and sometimes you get more gold. Number 3 is Twinkle Pink. Twinkle Pink is a baby pink ultra fine shimmer. It is more cool toned and reminds me of Derwent shimmers, just like Champagne Flow. Twinkle Pink is a daytime shimmer. Twinkle Pink is the most muted shimmer out of all the 3 fine shimmers that we were talking about. In this lighting, it looks very similar to Champagne Flow, and in this lighting you can see the true colors popping off. Baby pink shimmer shifts to pink, gold, blue and lilac shimmers. FYI, I shot this in my old Sony Cybershot camera. It's more like a vintage camera, and old cameras are known to easily pick up colors much more accurately than newer cameras, and that is why I used old vintage camera for this video. Number 4 is Glory Ivory. Glory Ivory is an off-white medium-sized shimmer. Compared to the rest of the medium-sized shimmers, Glory Ivory got these small shard shaped glitters, but it's not big enough compared to chunky shimmers, so that's why I consider these as more medium sized shimmers, because even though there are like shard shaped kind of chunky glitters, it looks more clustered and it blends well with the shimmer base, and the shards don't outshine the shimmers, and that is why I don't consider these as chunky glitters. The finish is very clustered, and there is another shade in the palette that also has shard shaped glitter. The ivory white glitter shifts to pink, lilac, blue, green and a little bit of gold. I also wanted to add that these absolutely feel nothing on my skin, but there will be a little bit of fallout. I mean, there's gonna be a bit of fallout because at the end of the day, these are glitters. Glitters are kind of hard to work with compared to any other texture. Number 5 is Fairy Glitter. Fairy Glitter is a chunky, ultra reflective shimmer that might remind you of 𝘤𝘰𝘮𝘮 glitters. This formula has a shimmer base with medium-sized glitters and chunky octagonal shaped glitters. Octagonal glitters look very prominent in the formula, and it's very eye-catchy. Even in an indoor light setup, you can see how sharp the glitters look. So many colors, and under direct light, the pink glitters explode into these vibrant colors you can see on screen. Number 6 is 𝘗𝘮𝘰𝘥𝘮𝘦. 𝘗𝘮𝘰𝘥𝘮 is the last fine shimmer in this palette. This is a pure metallic gold shimmer shadow. I don't know why, even the most boring colors in the palette remind me of something completely different. Every time I swatch 𝘗𝘮𝘰𝘥𝘮𝑦, it reminds me of a gold zari in a silk sari. I don't know, it's just me. Unlike the other fine shimmers, 𝘗𝘮𝘰𝘥𝘮𝑦 doesn't shift into any colors. It's just a pure gold metallic shimmer. Number 7 is Shining Rose. Shining Rose is the most muted shade in medium-sized shimmers. It is a muted coral pink color that under direct light shifts into pink, rose gold, and lilac, and maybe a hint of baby blue. I like the shade even though it's not giving the main character energy. To me, she's giving a soft girly vibe and I love it. Number 8 is Rainbow Bubble Bestie. Out of the ones you saw till now, I would say Rainbow Bubble is the most unique in terms of color combination. We saw many different colors like pink, ivory, coral. Rainbow Bubble, though in the pan looks bronze, this shade has black glitters. The black caught my eyes at first, not because it overpowered bronze shimmers, but I liked how black added a bit of contrast to the bronze shimmers. Now, even if you don't like black glitters, it's not overpowering at all. The name of the shade is so apt because when the light hits, you get a rainbow-like reflection and the black stays unreflective, mainly because it is a black color. Now come on, have you seen something like this? Number 9 is Purple Fantasy. This is the second and the last chunky shimmer shadow in the palette. Purple Fantasy has the same octagonal shaped chunky glitters as Fairy Glitter. The only difference is that Purple Fantasy has purple based glitter while Fairy Glitter is a pink based glitter. If chunky glitters seem intimidating to you and you want to try it at least once, this palette cannot be more appropriate for you. Something that is so confusing with Rom&nd glitters is that on the pan, some of the colors seem cool toned, but when the light hits, the colors shift into sometimes warmer tones and vice versa. Bestie, you will never get bored of this palette. If you don't use it every single day, you will forget how the colors shift, and so every time you swatch it, it's gonna feel like a new makeup product, and that's why I think you will never get bored playing with this palette. Let's talk about the last shade from this palette, Sparkling Red. Sparkling Red is a copper red shimmer, and these are your medium-sized shimmers. Remember when I was talking about shard-shaped glitters in Glory Ivory? This shade is identical to Glory Ivory in the sense you can see the same shard-shaped glitters in Sparkling Red. Shard glitters have green tint. The copper red and green combination looked very colorful. Considering this is a Korean makeup brand, I did not expect such bright colors. A lot of these colors are so Indian makeup appropriate. We love colors, we love blingy over-the-top makeup. If this is on your wish list, don't think twice, because out of all the makeup I got in 2023, this is hands down the best purchase of last year. So yeah, to enjoy this palette, all you have to do is like shimmers and glitters. If you already do, then Bestie, she's gonna be your new favorite obsession. That is it for today's video. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe. I'll see you later. Bye guys.
Someone tell me why.